how's it going on everyone? BeerBoxVape back here again, and what we're going to do today is, I promised this video the other week, is we're actually going to show you how I do my Re-Wicks in between sort of juice reviews as well, where I'm doing a juice review, it will cut and I'll say it's been re-wicked. And I've got a real easy, simple way of doing it, because if you're reviewing 5-6 juices, you have to re-wick 5-6 times, because you don't want to be putting the same juice in with the, the last juice, because then you can't get a proper flavour from it. So this is currently at the moment, I'm sure it will focus, or probably not. This is what I'm running at the moment. It's just a standard 26 gauge 7 wrap coil, and it is manky, absolutely dirty. This one, and this is one I've been vaping on for a few days now, trying out different juices as well, and just doing my standard vaping, because when I do my day-to-day vaping, trying say 5 or 6 juices, I won't re-wick obviously every time. I'll just take those to work and just drip as I go, so you get kind of an understanding of the flavour, and then when I'm doing my reviews I will re-wick and do the review properly. So this one's pretty dirty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it. I'm also going to replace the coil as well, and I'm going to show you how I do all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive down, do a bit of table time, and let's see how it's done. Right, so here we go. Here is everything down close. This is everything you're going to need to do your re-wick. Also as well, like I said, I'm going to put a new coil in it as well, and I'm actually going to be using this Coil A1. It's by UD, and all it is this is a Clapton wire, so it's 26 gauge times 2 wrapped around, 32 gauge wrapped around 2 lots of 26 gauge, and as you can see, it's a twisted Clapton wire. And I find this is really good. A lot of people might say, oh, this is cheating, this isn't doing it properly, but I've been there with the drill, straightening out the bits of Coil, cutting them, and then getting a 32 gauge and sitting there with the drill and wrapping it around, and I don't have time to do that. And this, I find you get just as good enough flavour with that, the same flavour really, as you would do by doing it yourself. So what I have is I have my mech mod here, my Fury S with my RDA on the top, and as you can see the coils are disgusting. Blech. So first step I'm going to do is go through what tools you're going to need. You're going to need some wire cutters, and this is all from my Coilmaster kit. Some good wire cutters. Obviously you're going to need some cotton. Ceramic tweezers are a must. If you don't have a pair of ceramic tweezers, go and get yourself some. You pick some up for about £5. Best thing you'll ever buy for building coils and stuff. Occasionally you need some needle nose pliers for pulling the wire through. You're going to need a screwdriver or whatever tool needed to undo your posts. And what I use is this little tool here, and as you can see it has 5 different numbers on it, depending on what size coil: 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 or 3.5mm, and that corresponds to the different notches on there. So that is an excellent tool, especially for doing Clapton wire. If not, I use my little tool here, my Coilmaster tool, and all you do is you just put the wire down through that hole there, it comes out there, and then you hold one end, pop this on, and just turn it however many times you want, and that gives you a perfect coil. That's if I'm just using standard wire, say 26 gauge wire or 24 gauge wire. But if I'm actually doing a Clapton coil, it won't actually fit through the hole and it just does a bad job, so I wrap it by hand. So first job is I'm going to lock my mech mod. I'm going to grab my screwdriver, and I'm actually going to unscrew my 3 posts. Now if I'm just re-wicking, I won't obviously bother doing this, I'll just pull the cotton out, but since these are pretty manky, I want to replace them, so I'm going to unscrew my 3 posts. And this is where I use my needle nose pliers. Just grab the coil and pull it out. Boom, there you go. Put that aside or in the bin. There's my other one. You can see it's absolutely disgusting. So put those aside. And the reason I use a mech mod, oh no, lost a screw, we're good. The reason I use a mech mod as opposed to something like my Relo or something like that is purely based on the fact that what I'm going to be doing now and afterwards is I'm going to be washing this. Obviously now I'm just going to take this to the bathroom and take the actual RDA off, drop it on the floor, useless. I'm going to rinse that, and then all I'm going to do after that is come back and show you how I do my Re-Wick coil build. But like I say, the reason I put it on this mech mod is because if I'm just changing the wick and the coil is disgusting, but I want to keep the coil, what I'll do is I'll take the cotton out, heat this up till this burns dry, does dry burn, until the coil, I'll keep pulsing it until the coils get, you know, really, really hot, really red hot, and then I'll put that, just the tip of it, tilted at an angle down as well, into the running water on the tap. And what that does is that just burns off everything. And then afterwards I've got a little electric toothbrush. I get that, and then I actually use that on the actual coil. And I find that gets all of your residue, all of your built up crap off of there. And it just makes life so much easier doing it on a mech mod. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly cut here, go and wash the RDA. Well, find the RDA first because I dropped it. Wash it, come back, and then show you how I do my coil build. And right, we're back from the wash. All been cleaned, washed, cleaned, dried. Absolutely perfect, ready to go. Now, I did say I was going to do the, the Clapton wire. But I've decided against it actually, because I've been running Clapton for a little while. And I want to actually show you the Coilmaster kit as well. So I'm just going to do some standard 24 gauge cam foam. And just show you how I wrap that so you can actually see how the Coilmaster kit works. So all I do is cut about 6 inches with the wire cutters. And the great thing about this kit is, the wire doesn't have to be, completely, like there's a kink on the end here, as you can see. It doesn't have to be completely perfect. So all you do with this kit here is it comes in 3 different parts. You get different ends for it. So that's your base. And this one here at the moment is my 2.5mm. You can see. And they have, different ratings. It goes from like 1mm up to 3.5mm. And this is the end that you wrap. So all you do is you just pop this bit into this little hole here, this little holder, and that screws on to what I call your base. And on here you've got one hole at the top there and one hole at the side. So all you do is you just grab your wire and you pop it down through the hole like that, and then just put a tiny bit of pressure on there, pop this on, and literally it's as easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wraps. And what I like to do is I like to bring the wire nearly down to the other side, and don't mind that end there, but look how easy that coil was to wrap, and it's absolutely perfect. So all I do to get rid of that manky end that's gone through, so I just pop it back on this way, hold this other end, and literally just tweak it like that, and that sorts out that end. And there you have easy as pie 7 wrap 2.5mm bit of wire. And what I like to do is the end that goes under, you've got one end that wraps under and this end wraps over. The end that wraps under, I always like to put that in my middle post, just to make sure it just seems to sit better for me, So what I do is you now have to do a little bit of measurements, and I pop it on back on my little kit here, and what I do is I measure. So I put my middle wire in the middle of the center post, and I think, right, where's my other wire going to go? And you know what, that's pretty close to lining up with that other hole. Lines up near enough, like look at where I'm looking at here, my angle, near enough, So all I do with this is I keep it held on. I grab my needle nose pliers and I kind of just bend it up a little bit, and all that does is when it's in straight, that kind of locks it in, so both the leads are going the same way. And that's all I do. And then cut this lead as well, cut a bit of the excess off to make it easier to pop in. I always put, you know, obviously the longest lead in first, and that's what you're working with. So when I tighten these up and adjust these, I grab my screwdriver and I set my negative post in first. So where do I want it to be? You know, nice, not too close, but not too far away. And I don't, you know, wrench it up. I literally just make sure, you know, it's in there, it's not going to move. And the thing about this Coilmaster kit is, you know, you can't really get it in and adjust it. And unless you've got a screwdriver or something that's the same diameter, you use that. So I just take the end off, pop it in, straighten it up, you know, push it in a little bit just to center it up, and then, you know, hold it, make sure it's there, and then when I'm happy with where it is, that's when I tighten up my negative post. And that is one coil in. You know, obviously I'll adjust the middle one and make sure the other one's in fine, but you know, that's what you're looking at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll show you when the other side's in, because that's just a standard repeat of the first side, and then I'll show you how to adjust them, fire them up, make sure they're all running okay, and then wick them for you. Right, so they're all back in now. I've put the other one in, and all I've done is I've just kind of put them in, made sure they're, you know, similar heights and everything, and, you know, snipped the leads, tightened up the posts. And as you might be able to see that by putting the inner wire, so it's the flat one, and then bending the other wire down, it just makes them sit really neat. And what that does as well is that pulls it, so it makes the coil tight, you know. So it's not like one coil, say 2.5 mil, and another coil's closer to 3, you know. It just tightens them both down so they're nice, you know, exactly the same hole size, everything. It just makes life so much easier. So that's how I recommend doing it, and it just looks so much nicer as well. So what I do after I've done that is I then take that back to the bathroom and I clean it up, you know, just make sure it's all clean. You've taken all the grease and gunk off your hands, and, you know, so you're working with nice new coils. Right, so now I've done that, I hit it to unlock, and then we'll start test firing. But before I do that, actually, let's check to see what resistance we have on this baby. And I'm going to use my own meter here, pop it on, and this one is coming in at 0.31. 0.31. So, you know, not super sub-ohm or anything, it's just standard, your standard sub-ohm. So before you fire it, you want to make sure that the coils are not touching the posts, apart from the wires that are going through, obviously. And then I just start pulsing it. And what you see is you start seeing that the coil heats up. I might turn one of these lights off to see if it makes things a little easier to see. As you can see, one of them's heating up a lot quicker than the other one. So this is where your trusty friends, the ceramic tweezers, come in. And all you do is just kind of squeeze it a little bit, wiggle it about, and just make sure, you know, that they're both firing the same. So you just keep at this for a few seconds. And the good thing about the ceramics is, as it's heating up like this, you can get in there and you can adjust it and poke it and move it. And what you're looking for is it heating up from the inside. Just make sure they're both cool. So yeah, you're looking at them both to heat up at the same time from the inside out and just glow exactly like that. So now I've done that, I leave that to cool down, go and wash my hands once again, and then I get set up and started on the cotton. So this is my cotton, and all it is, it's just Japanese organic cotton. This one happens to be from a company called Tan to Damp. So what I do is I grab a sheet of cotton like this, and then on the cotton you've got these two kind of bits that you can pull apart. They're kind of harder, and I don't know why, I've just never used them. So all I do is just quickly pull that side off, and then the same on the other side. They're so easy to pull off. Just get that. I just don't really like using it. So you're left with the middle cotton bit. And all I do is I don't use scissors at all for wicking. Is I just, you know, it's all about doing this over and over again. So when I'm doing videos, I grab my cotton and I kind of just have reels of cotton already ready to go, and then I just pop them straight in my device. And if you see the cotton, it has this way hard to pull, this way it pulls apart really easily. So you need to get to know the grain pattern of your cotton as well. So all I've done is I've just pulled a bit off, probably about 4 or 5 mil, and then all I do is I stretch it out. You know, make sure she is stretched like that, so it's nice and fluffy. And then what I do with that is I kind of gently roll it up on itself. And what I find with this is, you know, is it wicks a hell of a lot better than if you don't do this. And then you grab the one end, and then as normal, as you do with everything, you twist. And it doesn't matter about this end because, you know, you're not going to be vaping on this. So you twist it up and you're left with a nice fluffy tail. Get that bit on. And then you grab your device, and when I wick, I always wick from the outside in. Always outside in. I never do like that way. Always go from the outside in. So you just pop it through, and that's what you want, you know. You want a nice bit of resistance, not too loose, not too tight. And then I do exactly the same with the other side. Just pull off the amount I want, and then just literally open it out. This one I probably don't have enough. We'll see. Yep, so roll it up like that. Get one end, twist it, and then always from the outside in. I'll pull that end off. So I put it through. There you go, same again, that one's perfect as well. So that's what you're left with, 2 giant bits of cotton. And always make sure that your device is off, because you don't want it firing now. So this is where things get a bit tricky. Well, not tricky, they're just, you know, this is how I do it. So what I do is I pull this one and remove some of this stuff so it's not making a noise. Pull this one roughly, you know, so it's roughly about 1 centimetre out. And then I literally just grab this end like this and just pull. And it gets rid of that. And then I make sure I need it to roughly be about in there. Pull that end again. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't be handling your cotton, you know, too much. And I agree, you shouldn't be. But this is how I've always done it. And this one, even easier, look, it just pulls off like that. And you can just kind of pluck off the bits, you know, that make it too big. You don't actually need scissors, and you don't need a massive amount of cotton, you know, especially if you're doing, you know, your reviews, or you're doing your bits where you just need, you know, you're not going to be using this for 2 or 3 months, you know, you're going to be using it for a couple of days. So all I do is I always start with the outside bit, and I just tuck this bit, tuck it under like that, literally just under. Same with this side. Just down the side here. So it looks like that. And when I grab this other bit and literally just, if I can do it on camera, turn it around on itself and poke it in. Same with this one, turn it around on itself, poke it in, make sure it's touching the juice well at the bottom, and then you do a little bit of jiggery pokery, and then this one's not as full. Let's get this bit right. That's kind of, you know, how I do it, kind of what you're looking for, you know. you're just looking so the cotton is surrounded, you've got your gap underneath. It's just, you know, cotton's in there, nice and neat, does the job. So let's wick it, or juice it even. And what I'm using is some tan to damp stuff against it. I'm using the cotton, it was right next to it. Cobalt Gold. I think it's like a limey kind of flavour. I'm not too sure with this one. I've only used it a few times. And what I always do is I always just wick, put a few drops on the tails of the cotton. There's a few drops. And then just let that soak in. And as that's soaking in, my clean part of my RDA, the top cap, I just reassemble this as all that juice is soaking in. Make sure the airflow's how I like it, wide open. And then I dab a little bit on the actual coil, you know, give it a chance. And then between the coil and the RDA base here, all I do is I just put it in and put a couple of drops. Same in there. And what that does is that fills your juice well up a little bit, you know. And it just gives it a fighting chance. And that is it. That is re-wicked. And that's ready to go. So when, you know, minus the coil building bit on the video, so when you hear me doing a juice review video and I turn around and say that's been re-wicked, that's the process I go through. And I'll have loads of little bits of wick all lying there depending on how many juices I'm doing, and that's how I do it. Obviously I don't change the coil every time. So yeah, let's give it. There she is. Oh, that juice smells so good. So let's get back up to, you know, normal view, FaceTime, whatever you want to call it. Let's have a vape on it and let's have a talk. So see you in a sec. Okay, so initially this was only going to be a short video with me going through how I do my re-wicks and things like that for juice review videos. Turned out being quite a long video, so I'm sorry about that. I'm going to turn these lights back on so you can see me. There's one. There's two. Maybe that's better, I don't know. So yeah, that, like I say, that's how I do it. It's very easy, you know. If you get all your cotton like lined up, so obviously 2 for each one. So if I'm doing 5 juices, I have 10 bits of cotton lined up, and cotton is so cheap, you know. I've actually just been using the same, you know, lots of cotton that I've had for 2-3 months. It just lasts you so long, you know. And obviously you're not going to be changing it all the time every day, are you? So, you know, it's going to last you so much. And, you know, I think why leave the same bit of cotton in there for a while, you know, if you're going to be changing a lot of different juices, because they're all going to merge into the same flavour. So for the sake of, say, 10 minutes just doing a re-wick, make sure you do it good, make sure it's clean, clean the coil. You know, it just means your vaping experience is that much better. So, let's have a go on it. And there she is. I really like this stuff here. I can't remember who's doing it. Well, you get it, it says on there, yoursig.com. I got it from a local, just a local vendor that I buy most of my stuff from, you know, all of my wires and things and cotton and stuff. And I saw the Clapton wire, and I just saw, I normally go for 26, but they only had 24 gauge in, so I went for that, and I'm really enjoying it, you know. Like I said, what was this coming out, 0.3 coil? You know, that's brilliant. That will work in, you know, the majority of your devices that go that you can do wattage in. Like, it'll work obviously in my Relo, it can work in my X-Cube, it can work even in my Kangatech, my sub-tank mini, you know, the little sub box, even works in that as well, you know. And it's also safe for when you're using your mech mods and, you know, your unregulated mods as well. It just means it's a lot safer because, you know, you've got that higher resistance, so you're not draining the battery, you know. And you know, you're getting a very good vape on it. And the most important thing, I know I'm rambling, I know I'm talking, but the most important thing is make sure everything is clean. Make sure your hands are clean. Wear gloves if you have them. Make sure the coils are clean. Make sure everything is clean. Your tools are clean you're using. And I know my ceramic plier tweezers, you know, they've got a bit of gank on them, but that's not all that is that's just burnt, you know, where I've been doing the coils. That is actually clean. It doesn't rub off. That's why I use that, because they're very tight to get in with the cotton. And, you know, you can't go wrong. So, once again. thanks for watching, and remember, keep on vaping.